The dark web is part of the internet that isn't visible to search engines and requires the use of an anonymizing browser called Tor to be accessed. Dark web definition. The dark web is a part of the internet that isn't indexed by search engines. You've no doubt heard talk of the dark web as a hotbed of criminal activity. And it is. Researchers Daniel Moore and Thomas Ridd of King's College in London classified the contents of 2,723 live dark websites over a 5-week period in 2015 and found that 57% host illicit material. A study into the web of profit, conducted by Dr. Michael Maguires at the University of Surrey, shows that things have become worse. The number of dark web listings that could harm an enterprise has risen by 20% from 2016 to 2019. Of all listings, excluding those selling drugs, 60% could potentially harm enterprises. What can you buy on the dark web? You can buy credit card numbers, all manner of drugs, guns, counterfeit money, stolen subscription credentials, hacked Netflix accounts and software that helps you break into other people's computers. By logging credentials to a $50,000 Bank of America account, counterfeit $20 bills, prepaid debit cards, or a lifetime of Flix premium account. You can hire hackers to attack computers for you. You can buy usernames and passwords. Not everything is illegal. The dark web also has a legitimate side. For example, you can join a chess club or black book, a social network described as the Facebook of Tor. I want to know what information is available and have an external lens into the digital assets that are being monetized. This gives us insight on what hackers are targeting. There are also many tools that can be used to monitor the dark web and scan for personally identifiable information and even respond to attacks. If you find your own information on the dark web, there's precious little you can do about it, but at least you'll know you've been compromised. Bottom line, if you can tolerate the lousy performance, unpredictable availability, and occasional shock factor of the dark web, it's worth a visit. Just don't buy anything there. The terms deep web and dark web are sometimes used interchangeably, but they are not the same. Deep web refers to anything on the internet that is not indexed by and, therefore, accessible via a search engine like Google. Deep web content includes anything behind a paywall or requires signing credentials. It also includes any content that its owners have blocked web crawlers from indexing. Medical records, fee-based content, membership websites, and confidential corporate web pages are just a few examples of what makes up the deep web. Estimates place the size of the deep web at between 96% and 99% of the internet. Only a tiny portion of the internet is accessible through a standard web browser generally known as the clear web. Patrick TK, Director of Security and Architecture at Keeper Security and the company's resident expert on the topic, checks in on the dark web regularly because it's important for him to be on top of what's happening in the hacker underground. I use the dark web for situational awareness, threat analysis, and keeping an eye on what's going on, he said. Will. The dark web is a subset of the deep web that is intentionally hidden, requiring a specific browser Tor to access, as explained below. No one really knows the size of the dark web, but most estimates put it at around 5% of the total internet. Again, not all the dark web is used for illicit purposes, despite its ominous-sounding name. Dark web tools and services. The Into the Web of Profit report identified 12 categories of tools or services that could present a risk in the form of a network breach, a data compromise, infection, or attacks, including malware, distributed denial of service DDoS and botnets. Access, including remote access trojans, rats, keyloggers, and exploits. Espionage, including services, customization, and targeting. Support services such as tutorials, credentials, phishing, refunds, customer data, operational data, financial data, intellectual property, trade secrets. Other emerging threats. Ransomware as a service ROS kits have been available on the dark web for several years, but those offerings have become far more dangerous with the rise of specialized criminal groups like Revil or Gangcraft. These groups develop their own sophisticated malware, sometimes combined with pre-existing tools, and distribute them through affiliates. Distribute the ransomware packages through the dark web. These attacks often include stealing victims' data and threatening to release it on the dark web if the ransom isn't paid. This business model is successful and lucrative. IBM Security X-Force, for example, reported that 29% of its ransomware engagements in 2020 involved Revil. The criminal groups that develop the malware gets a cut of the affiliate's earnings, typically between 20% and 30%. IBM estimates that Revil's profits in the past year were $81 million. Dark web browser. All this activity, this vision of a bustling marketplace, might make you think that navigating the dark web is easy. It isn't. The place is as messy and chaotic as you would expect when everyone is anonymous, and a substantial minority are out to scam others. Accessing the dark web requires the use of an anonymizing browser called Tor. The Tor browser routes your web page requests through a series of proxy servers operated by thousands of volunteers around the globe, rendering your IP address unidentifiable and untraceable. Tor works like magic, but the result is an experience that's like the dark web itself: unpredictable, unreliable, and maddeningly slow. Websites. Dark web websites look pretty much like any other site, but there are important differences. One is the naming structure. Instead of ending in .com or .co, dark web websites end in .onion. That's a special use top-level domain suffix designating an anonymous hidden service, reachable via the Tor network, according to Wikipedia. Browsers with the appropriate proxy can reach these sites, but others can't. Dark web websites also use a scrambled naming structure that creates URLs that are often impossible to remember. For example, a popular commerce site called Dream Market goes by the unintelligible address of EAJWLVM3Z2LCCA ton6.onion.double-quotes. Many dark websites are set up by scammers who constantly move around to avoid the wrath of their victims. Even commerce sites that may have existed for a year or more can suddenly disappear if the owners decide to cash in and flee with the escrow money they're holding on behalf of customers. Law enforcement officials are getting better at finding and prosecuting owners of sites that sell illicit goods and services. In the summer of 2017, a team of cyber cops from 3 countries successfully shut down Alphabay, the dark web's largest source of contraband, sending shudders throughout the network. But many merchants simply migrated elsewhere. The dark web has flourished thanks to Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency that enables two parties to conduct a trusted transaction without knowing each other's identity. Bitcoin has been a major factor in the growth of the dark web, and the dark web has been a big factor in the growth of Bitcoin, says TK. Nearly all dark web commerce sites conduct transactions in Bitcoin or some variant, but that doesn't mean it's safe to do business there. The inherent anonymity of the place attracts scammers and thieves. But what do you expect when buying guns or drugs is your objective? Dark web commerce sites have the same features as any e-retail operation, including ratings, reviews, shopping carts and forums, but there are important differences. One is quality control. When both buyers and sellers are anonymous, the credibility of any ratings system is dubious. Ratings are easily manipulated, and even sellers with long track records have been known to suddenly disappear with their customers' crypto coins, only to set up shop later under a different alias. Most e-commerce providers offer some kind of escrow service that keeps customer funds on hold until the product has been delivered. However, in the event of a dispute, don't expect service with a smile. It's pretty much up to the buyer and the seller to duke it out. Every communication is encrypted, so even the simplest transaction, well, there's a PGP key. Even completing a transaction is no guarantee that the goods will arrive. Many need to cross international borders, and customs officials are cracking down on suspicious packages. The dark web news site Deep. Web teams with stories of buyers who have been arrested or jailed for attempted purchases. Cloned credit card with PIN, $25 to $35. Credit card details with account balance up to $5,000, $240. Stolen online banking logins with at least $2,000 in the account, $120. PayPal transfers from stolen accounts, $50 to $340. Hacked Coinbase verified account, $610. Hacked social media account, $1 to $60. Hacked Gmail account, $80. Hacked eBay account with good reputation, $1,000. Is the dark web illegal? We don't want to leave you with the impression that everything on the dark web is nefarious or illegal. The Tor network began as an anonymous communications channel, and it still serves a valuable purpose in helping people communicate in environments that are hostile to free speech. A lot of people use it in countries where there's eavesdropping or where internet access is criminalized, TK said. If you want to learn all about privacy protection or cryptocurrency, the dark web has plenty to offer. There are a variety of private and encrypted email services, instructions for installing an anonymous operating system, and advanced tips for the privacy conscious. There's also material that you wouldn't be surprised to find on the public web, such as links to full-text editions of hard-to-find books, collections of political news from mainstream websites, and a guide to the steam tunnels under the Virginia Tech campus. You can conduct discussions about current events anonymously on Intel Exchange. There are several whistleblower sites, including a dark web version of WikiLeaks. Pirate Bay, a BitTorrent site that law enforcement officials have repeatedly shut down, is alive and well there. Even Facebook has a dark web presence,